Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Putt.
Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome back to First Contact Radio. Glad you could be here again today. It is the 10th of August, 2016. Our sun sign is in Leo, or moon sign, like yesterday, is in Scorpio. So we have fire for the conscious mind. Fire is ideas. Underlying subconscious is water. So we have emotions. So underneath the surface, we have all these emotions bubbling up, and they're rising to the surface, and they want to express themselves as fire. Fire is ideas. So how do we change these emotions into these ideas? That's the question. Okay? How do we change the emotions that we're feeling into ideas? That's where we have to use our creativity, because remember, Leo the lion, right here, we've got the red color, we've got the energy, we've got that animal nature within ourselves that wants to roar, but imagination keeps it in check. So when we have all of these emotions bubbling to the surface that feel like death, we have different ways we can react to this. If we understand simply there's a transition taking place within our emotional body, then we're able to use our imagination to make those ideas positive, find out how to take that transition and use it for something creatively. Because every day we have transitions. We continually go through life. How many times have we had changes in our life? Things have changed from one form to the next. And that's simply how it works. Okay, so we simply need to continue that process again. Fire and water. Think how they work in life. Okay, you have the fire of the conscious mind, the ideas, the creativity, and we have the underlying emotions that we need to get a handle on as we go the course of this day. Now, some of the aspects we're looking at today, we've had a couple of them already. First one was Mercury, the messenger, jumping into the mix here, so wanting to bring some sort of message and ideas into our emotions, see that they have something to tell us. They're not just there randomly for no purpose. There is purpose. They help us to understand something. So if we listen to the deeper message coming from those emotions, then we can understand a little bit more what they are about. And at 7:05 a.m., we just had Pluto enter the mix as a sextile with Scorpio, and Pluto brings deep transformation. Okay, so we're considering now how we can transform ourselves and allow our lives to be transformed through these emotions. So they're good things. It's like you take a shower, right? You have water, take a shower to rinse off all the dirt. So sometimes it's very important to understand the nature of how all of these energies work in our lives. Now, as we get to the afternoon, we do have a square between the sun and the moon, between Leo and death, between our strength of our ideas and the emotions that feel death-like. So they're going to be at odds with each other. We're going to have to take a good look at this. We're going to have to check ourselves to make sure we're not getting caught up. And with all of the stories going on in the world today, there's a lot of opportunity stuff. Let's just say we'll use the word stuff because there's a lot of stuff going on. Some of it is nonsensical, some of it isn't. It does make sense, but there's just a lot of stuff we have to deal with. And finally, when we get to this evening, 6:25 p.m., Pluto's back in again. Now that we've gone through a whole day of dealing with these transformative energies, Mercury is back in again. And this time, Mercury and Pluto are going to interact together. And they're going to act together in a nice positive way. This trine, which says, okay, we've learned now things from our emotions. We've learned some messages from them. We've gotten some deep transformation from these changes. Now, these two ideas of transformation and our ability to communicate are going to find a way to work with each other. So, our communication actually could go through a transformative process simply through the course of this day, paying attention to what's going on and not necessarily focused on everything that's going on in the physical world, but understanding how what's going on in the physical world affects each one of us personally and how we could take and transmute those energies and allow them to transform us into something and someone who understands a bit more about what's going on around us. The moon is 48.8% of the way full. It's a waxing moon, which means it's making its way upward. Today we're at the first quarter, and 8 days from now we're going to be at the full moon again. On the Jewish calendar, today is 6 Av. 6 Av, remember when I was showing you the Georgia Guidestones yesterday? We're going to get real in depth with it today. I talked about 9 Av. Well, here's 9 Av right here. So it is coming up this weekend. So we're at 6 Av right now, coming to 9 Av. And remember when I spoke of that, we'll get more into it later, but there's been a lot of things that have happened around this period of time. So we seem to be in a window of time, but historically there's been a lot of changes that have taken place that have affected all of us here to some degree or another. The daily thought for today is she made him good. All that God created, he said was good, except for one. It is not good that man is alone. And so he made woman, and everything was very good. And so how is it possible that a man could despise the woman who took him from not good to very good? Very important question. How could if you look at the man, the conscious mind, and the woman being the unconscious mind, how could the conscious mind despise the unconscious mind? Doesn't work. Just like man and women here on earth, representatives of the conscious and unconscious mind. It doesn't work when they're at odds with each other. We need to find a way to work together because that is the whole point of this exercise. And finally, space weather, solar wind 642.0 kilometers per second. Planetary K index is unsettled at the moment in a 4. Going to stay that way over the next 24 to 48 hours. Probably has something to do with the fact that there's a large hole in the sun, top of the sun that is. It looks like a huge square, doesn't it? Almost very, very much straight lines, it would appear. And then, of course, M-class flare possibility at 15%. X-class at 1. Geomagnetic storm activity subsiding in the mid-latitudes, going from 30 down to 20 in the upper latitudes, also dropping slightly from the severe range 30 to 25, minor 35 to 30, so a slight decrease. And there you have it. That's our cosmic weather for today. That is everything that is taking place so we can understand how we move forward on and on. So we have fire and we have water. Conscious mind, unconscious mind. Okay? So today as you go through the day, pay attention to your emotions, pay attention to what's bubbling underneath, and then see if there's a way that you can be productive with that. See if there's a way you can express that and see what kind of ideas come out of those emotions. Don't just let those emotions be and use the opportunity to see what those emotions are leading you to. Because everything's connected. Everything leads to something else. So what are they leading us to? That is something we will all individually find out over the course of today, because each one of us is going to be affected personally by what is going on. All right, UFO news up next.
This is the UFO news with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk, thank you very much. Today I've got 4 stories for you. The first story here is a white disk over the mountains of Bolivia near ancient ruins. We have the object in question here. It's a little bit fuzzy, but you can make out there is some object in here. Disc shape with a little ball shape in the middle. Is that like a type of a roof dome type thing? This UFO was reported today to MUFON, and it shows a mysterious white disk with a white orb center in it. Photos were taken in a desolate location, as you can see from the photo below. UFOs are seen more frequently in low-populated areas like this. The eyewitness says, I was visiting Tiwanaku, an old archaeological site near the border of Titicaca Lake. I only realized about the UFO many months later when I was looking at the photos I shot there. The object was very far in the direction of the mountains, out of the airways path, because the SLLP, or the La Paz International Airport, is some dozen miles from here. It doesn't look or behave like an airplane. The photo is attached. It says everything. All right. Object in question. Very interesting. Not the first time something has been seen over some ancient ruins, and you know what? It won't be the last. Up at the sun, there's a big square up there. Looks like a huge sugar cube. Some sort of square object. UFO cube was seen at the sun again. These two different camera angles caught it. The fact the two different cameras saw it at 100% is proof that this is not a computer glitch. This is evidence that the cube is really there and is a large solid object bigger than the Earth. The cube is in a different location in both photos. Two different videos below were made by two different UFO researchers, but they fit perfectly. The two cameras are EIT-195 and EIT-171. They took photos 25 hours apart, and yet the cube is in the exact place. It's sucking away the sun's chromosphere, which is the surface, and it may be the next layer of the photosphere for some kind of energy that is needed for power. Nature fuel for aliens, but it may be taking it to deliver to an alien world in our solar system because we see it often around our sun. So there's one version, and here's the other one right here, both very short videos. Okay, so we definitely have an object in there, cube of sorts. Okie doke, moving on. Next, we have a golden UFO orbiting above the Earth. Okay, it's kind of hard to see, a little fuzzy in there, but you can see there is some coloration. So what we're looking at here says a massive UFO in gold color was spotted hovering over the Earth's atmosphere in a video clip that some conspiracy theorists think NASA does not want to see the public to see. Some UFO enthusiasts suggest the clip is the latest evidence that humanity is not alone in the vast universe. Most of the supposed proofs of aliens or UFOs are grainy footage, but a few are recorded in high-definition cameras, including this one. A YouTube user posted a video which thought to be from a high-definition camera on board the International Space Station. The footage shows an apparent out-of-this-world golden orb hovering in the clouds over the Earth, but just like many instances in the past, wherein a UFO seems to fly across the camera screen, the footage mysteriously cuts out after a few seconds with a message from NASA saying, "Please stand by." According to the uploader, he noticed something strange first, so he thought of recording it, but to his surprise, NASA cut the transmission. He believes the unknown thing has to be large and hundreds of miles long. Okay, so there's a 1-minute video of this. There's the high definition. We're experiencing problems. Please stay tuned because they don't want you to see what's out there, even though we know things like this exist and that they are hiding them. No surprise there, right? All right, moving on. One last story. This is a story from an abductee, a woman. It says after a lifetime of abductions, women urges others to come forward. Abductee describes some aliens as higher dimensional beings. Lisa Tenney was 6 when she first experienced alien abduction. Some of them were hostile when she described others as family. She even recalled being raped by the evil aliens who were from a government project referred to as My Lab. According to Tenney, she was, and this actually should be MI Lab, I standing for military and then lab, so military-based project. According to Tenney, she was captured by different types of aliens over the years, and the experiences haven't been friendly all the time. She was interviewed by Earth's Mystery News, and the broadcast was posted on social media. My first experience that I can remember was these beings coming through a wall in my room, and they would take take me. She was quoted saying, "Somehow I ended up being able to go through the wall with them. They look like static, they're particles, and they would solidify as they came through the wall and become more solid. She had I would watch my body do the same thing, and I would move through the wall, and then I'd be in a ship, physically on a solid, cool surface. She revealed that the aliens would probe her genitals aggressively in a way that felt like rape. There was no connection to the feeling was not good. She described the aliens as tall humanoid beings with head, arms, and legs. They even had tiny ears, and their mouths were very small. The eyes of the aliens were large, black, and oily. She was also contacted by more amicable aliens, as the contact gave her a comfortable feeling. She said that her and her sister were contacted by one being that was a higher dimensional and more conscious in the heart. That one being that came to me the most, and to my sister as well, I would call her Mum, she said. The being that I connected with wasn't scary. It felt like I was at the doctor. The one being that came to the most, and my sister, I would call her Mum, she said, the being I connected. Okay. So she, Tenny, urged others with experiences of extraterrestrials to come forward and share their experiences on alien abduction. She said it is more normal than most people think. The video got mixed responses from viewers, with some claiming that they had undergone the same experience, the Express UK reported. All right, so there you go. That's our UFO news for today. Stay tuned. I'll be back.
What if our government was responsible for some of the greatest crimes against this nation? Would you really want to know? These are big questions, but these questions deserve answers. It's time to demand the truth.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of them.
9/11 was an inside job. Kennedy was killed by the CIA. Jimmy Carter saw UFO. Answers to secrets you need to know. So wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up.
All right, I'm jumping back in because I have a number of stories I want to get to. I don't want to waste any time here. All right, first thing we're going to address is the media's latest attack towards Mr. Trump. You know, it seems like whatever he says, they're going to find something to attack, no matter how small it is or insignificant. They're going to find a way. The old left side. They're certainly desperate, aren't they? Now their latest thing is they're trying to attack Donald, because yesterday when he was giving his talk and he mentioned the choices that the next president would have, and Hillary got in, how she would affect the Supreme Court, when he said that the Second Amendment people might have something to say about that, that simply set the left off into saying he was calling for an assassination. Despite the fact that he didn't use the word assassination, despite the fact that he did not direct anything towards Hillary, despite the fact that he did not say anything that they are claiming, it is what they are claiming because they're desperate. The left side is desperate. I said it before, I'm going to say it again, and if you don't like it, well, that's the way it goes. Liberalism is a mental disorder. When you see what's going on out there, it really seems like that's the case, doesn't it? So I wanted to bring up to you this particular article here because, and I'm going to leave this for you to watch. It's a 10-minute video, but in this video you can clearly see what Hillary Clinton said back years ago, and she said we all remember Bobby Kennedy was assassinated in June in California. You know, I just don't understand it. There's a lot of speculation about why it is. This is what she said in regards to Obama. So she actually used the word assassination. She actually used it in the question that was about Obama and what was happening in the race that was being run. She actually used these words. This is Keith Olbermann report, and he's talking about it and the audacity of her to go out and suggest such things. So when the left is crying so loud today about what Trump said, which had nothing and never mentioned any of this, please remind them of Hillary Clinton, and you can point them to this video of her actually using the words assassination and actually alluding to something that happened, perhaps alluding to it happening again. You see, what I've come to understand, and I think you're seeing the same thing out there, is that there's a tendency with people, and it seems to be really prominent on the left at this point in time, Democratic left side, to want to point the fingers at somebody and blame somebody for something. And ultimately, what they're blaming for seems to be the very thing that they themselves are guilty of. It's very bizarre, very, very bizarre. You know, my entire life I've seen how this political thing goes, and I've never really jumped to one side or the other. I've been observant of the process. But in these last several years, there's been this really strange, bizarre way in which this left side is making themselves known that I'm talking about it. I didn't talk about this stuff in the past because they weren't showing themselves so radically as they are right now. Now you're seeing it from every direction on that side, whether it's college students who aren't knowing what's going on, to the Black Lives Matter movement, to the politicians, to the media. There's just this effort that is trying to subvert everything going on with this country, and I don't really understand it. Um, I think a lot of you don't understand it either because it's very baffling. We're supposed to all be Americans here. This is supposed to be our country, but when we see a portion of our country, students, our children, our families, people in the media, when we see them actually trying to tear down this very country that we're in, that is so bizarre. I keep thinking about the Olympics and the complaints that was made when CNN was just getting so hysterically crazy because they weren't going to allow this Muslim woman to carry the flag. This Muslim woman didn't even make it into the medal round. The first medal, the gold medal of this Olympics, went to a woman in a shooting event. You don't get much press from her, do you? You don't hear a lot about her. That was quite an accomplishment. She won a gold medal. So CNN really kind of bypasses that, but they certainly want to talk about this Muslim woman who didn't get the flag, who didn't even get to make it into the medal round. Well, she didn't carry the flag because she wasn't deserving. This isn't a participation sport, the Olympics. It's based on the merits of what you have done. And she didn't do anything. The guy who won the most medals ever for the United States, he carried the flag because you know what? He earned it. He earned that right to do that. And now, seeing what he's done, 21 medals as of last night, that's the most ever, my friends. No Olympian has ever won that many medals before. He's the greatest Olympian of all time, which is great because prior to this, we were told and we were shown Bruce Jenner was the greatest. Well, now finally we get to take that Bruce Jenner and push him aside for somebody else who is now out there portraying America in another way. Okay? Bruce has his own agenda. He's doing his other thing now as Caitlyn. We don't need to hear about him anymore. We now have somebody who's going to represent America in a different sort of way, and that's a breath of fresh air to myself and to many others who were very disappointed in what we saw taking place with that particular agenda that is still ongoing. Still ongoing. All right, so here we have an article. Judicial Watch uncovers new batch of Hillary Clinton emails. More problems for the Hillary campaign. Judicial Watch today released 296 pages of State Department records, of which 44 exchanges were not previously turned over to the State Department, bringing the known total to date up to 171 of the new emails not part of the 55,000 turned over to the State Department. These records further appear to contradict statements by Clinton that as far as she knew, all of her government emails had been turned over. The new documents revealed that in October 2009, controversial Clinton Foundation official Doug Band pushed for a job for an associate in the email. Band tells Hillary Clinton's former aides, the State Department Cheryl Mills and Huma Abedin, that it is important to take care of. Band is reassured that Abedin the personal has been sending him options. Band was co-founder of Tenio Strategy with Bill Clinton and a top official of the Clinton Foundation, including its Clinton Global Initiative, including the new document in the 2009 email in which Band directs Aberdeen and Mills to put Lebanese Nigerian billionaire and Clinton Foundation donor Gilbert Chowdhury in touch with the State Department's substance person as Lebanon. Band notes that Chowdhury is a key guy there, and to us and insists that Aberdeen and Arab Jeffrey Femin to connect him to him. Okay, so more dirt on the Clinton campaign. There's even an email in here in which Huma Abedin was asked through an email for information on Hillary Clinton's itinerary. And she responded back to her, "It was in the room. The door was unlocked. Just go in and get it." So what kind of security is that when you have one person who's supposed to be with the State Department, who's supposed to be understanding how we protect secrets and important information, leaving a door unlocked and leaving in that room information that is crucial to what is going on at that particular time with their particular candidate, and it's just there, and then she's inviting others just to walk into the room. What if that email was intercepted? That means anybody could have found out and gone into the room and got whatever they needed. What if somebody was just walking along and trying anyway? Big problem, big problem. Here we have a woman, Hillary Clinton, who says that she's going to protect our security, but she can't even have her own security taken care of. She can't even have a room with information where the door is properly locked. As a matter of fact, yesterday she had the father of the shooter from Orlando at her event seated behind her in a place where somebody would have placed them there, and she claims she had no knowledge of this. So we're supposed to believe that this woman, who can't even properly vet somebody from coming into her event that is connected to terrorism, this woman is going to protect America? Really? Please give me a break. Give me a break. Now, I mentioned the name Seth Rich before. You've heard this name. You've read the article. Seth Rich was working for the Democratic National Committee, and then one day he was murdered. People are trying to pass this off as a robbery, but there was nothing stolen. Someone came up, shot him in the head, and that was it. Seth Rich, according to Julian Assange at Wikileaks, is the source who was providing information. July 8th, 27-year-old Democratic staffer Seth Conrad Rich was murdered in Washington, D.C. The killers took nothing from the victim, leaving behind his wallet, watch, and phone. Shortly after the killing, Redditors and social media users were pursuing a lead, saying that Rich was en route to the FBI that morning of his murder, apparently intending to speak to special agents about an ongoing court case, possibly involving the Clinton family. Seth Rich's father, Joel, told reporters if it was robbery, it failed because he still had his watch, still had his money, still had his credit card, still had his phone, so it was a wasted effort, except we lost a life. Well, Wikileaks has put up a reward. They're trying to find information on what's going on, and here's a really great interview in which you hear Julian Assange talking about this event, where he actually alludes to, doesn't say directly, but you can see his body language, what he's referring to. He's alluding to Seth Rich being one of theirs, and that he was murdered for gathering information and sending it on, and he's not very pleased with it. Julian Assange seems to suggest in Dutch television program Niceora that Seth Rich was the source for the WikiLeaks exposed DNC emails and was murdered. Okay, so check that out. Again, not surprising, but another murder around the Clintons, another murder around Hillary. And one other video I want to point your way so you can check this out later. This is a good one also. This is over at InfoWars. Globalist Oligarch Party hates Trump more than any other candidate. Yesterday, as you heard, there was a number of these, supposed high-ranking GOPs that decided that they weren't going to back Trump. Well, Trump countered them, because after this public statement was made, by saying that that's all right. These were the same people who were responsible for all the problems that we're having. So he wasn't going to back them anyway. And thank you for exposing yourself to the American people, because now we know who to blame for the rise of ISIS and the rise of all the other problems that are going on. So people are outing themselves very easily because they're very disturbed by the fact that their gravy train is coming to an end, as well it should. So that's a good thing. That is a very good thing indeed. All right. All right. So let's move on. Yesterday I gave a bit of an introduction to the Georgia Guidestones. The Georgia Guidestones. And did you get a chance to watch this video here on this page? The Daily Crow. There's this video right down here. Okay, this is the one where he did all the numbers. Well, if you had a chance to listen to it, you heard him just go from one number to the next, to the next, to the next, adding numbers, putting them together, and showing how these numbers kept showing up in his life. It's amazing how numbers are. Numbers do lead us from one thing to the next. Numbers are a language of God. If we pay attention to the numbers that are around us and we read them as if we were reading another language, we will certainly find that they lead us from place to place to place to place. I think what he did in this video was an amazing job of showing these numbers, how they work together, and how they all point to some sort of date. The date they're pointing to is the 8th or the 14th of August 2016, which happens to be a few days from right now, this coming weekend. So the question is, what is going to happen on that particular date? A lot of this stems from the fact that there was a particular cube that was removed that had these particular numbers on 8/16/2014, and you could also look at it as in 8/14/2016. So there's a couple different ways to look at it. The JAM right here possibly being the judgment against mankind. And here it's talking about the 9th of Av. Okay, the 9th of Av. Here's the Georgia Guidestones, how they're situated. This is the top of the Georgia Guidestones right here. Remember I was telling you there was a blood spot up there? Looks like someone did some sort of blood ritual or something up here. And you can see the blood trails down and it drops down here where I believe that particular cube with those dates of August 14th is connected. So what are the Georgia Guidestones? Well, I've brought up a number of sites so you can check it out in detail. Okay, this is one particular site, talks about the 9 Av. Remember I showed you about the 9 Av? Right here it gets into 9 Av, the unmistakable day, meaning of this day. For the last few years, I've been studying the patterns in Jewish history based on the Hebrew calendar. Certain dates have a great significance to the Jewish people, and there is none more ominous than 9 Av, or Tishri B'Av. On this day, both Jewish temples were destroyed, the first in 423 BC, the second in 70 AD, and on the 9th of Av, 135 AD, 500,000 Jewish people were slaughtered by Roman soldiers in the city of Pthar. Here's some other horrendous historic events that also took place on or around this date. The First Crusade officially commenced August 15, 1996, Av 24, AM 4855, killing 10,000 Jews in its first month and destroying Jewish communities in France, the Rhineland. 1.2 million Jews were killed by this crusade that started on the 9th of Av. The Jews were expelled from England July 18, 1290, also on Av 9. July 22nd, 1306, Jews were expelled from France. That's Av 10. July 31st, 1492, Av 7, Jews were expelled from Spain. August 1st and 2nd, 1914, Av 9th and 10th, Germany entered World War I, which caused a massive upheaval in European Jewry, whose aftermath led to the Holocaust. August 2nd, 1941, Av 9, SS Commander Heinrich Himmler formally received approval from the Nazi Party for the final solution. As a result, the Holocaust began, during which almost one-third of its world Jewish population perished. July 23, 1942, Av 9 began the mass deportation of Jews from the Warsaw Ghetto en route to Treblinka. And most religious communities use Tisha B'Av to mourn the 6 million Jews who perished in the Holocaust, including special kinnut composed for this purpose. So, what this is saying is the 9th of Av, the worst day in Jewish history. How does this relate to the Georgia cube? The numbers 8, 14, 16, 20. Some speculated that meant 8, 16, 14. I'm here to tell you it is referring to 8, 14, 2016 because this date on the Jewish calendar just so happens to be the 9th of Av. 1 in 355 chance, or 0.2% or 0.002 of that date in question fall on an exact date of the most calamitous time in Jewish history. Remember, there have been 7 blood moon tetrads like the one we are currently experiencing since Christ was resurrected. Each time within a year of the tetrad, the Jewish people experienced major historical changes. The uniquenesses of the 7 tetrads is what they fell on the Jewish feast days. Okay, so that's one particular site. Let's jump over to the next one here. This one's called redefininggod.com. Globalist agenda. Update 1. Did the Georgia Guidestones cube reveal the date of the Olympic terror attack? An eagle-eyed reader from Germany has pointed out a possible connection among the Georgia Guidestones cube, the upcoming Rio Olympic terror attack, and the Jewish holiday of Tishri B'Av, 9 Av. If you're unfamiliar with the Georgia Guidestones cube, it first appeared on the monument early September 2014 and was removed and smashed September 25, 2014. If you watch the woman circles the cube in a clockwise motion, the numbers on the cube faces 8/14/2016. So this gives us a date of 8/14/2016. It stands for U.S. format. And the inscriptions on the top and the bottom of the cube read MM and JAM. We can only speculate what these mean, but looking at the cube as an encoded reference to the World War III begins, I came across some candidate representatives. MM reminds me of the Roman numerals for the year 2000, number 2000, so I decided to check to see if there were 2 MM words in Latin that signified starting a war. This is what I found in Google Translate. Movio and Mars. Okay. JAM may be an actual word in Indonesian, the language of the world's most populous Muslim country, and found a number of examples here. And since the Georgia Guidestones are a multilingual monument, the presence of a foreign world would not be out of question, and this appearance of the word offers a tenuous connection to Islam. The connection seems somewhat less dubious when read. Alright, so this is one site. I want you to look through here. I want to jump to another one because I've got several others. Wikileaks talks about the Georgia Guidestones. Georgia Guidestones is a granite monument erected in 1980 in Elbert County, Georgia, in the United States. A set of 10 guidelines is inscribed in the structure in 8 modern languages, and a shorter message is inscribed at the top of the structure in 4 ancient language scripts: Babylonian, Classic Greek, Sanskrit, and Egyptian hieroglyphics. The monument stands at the highest point in Elbert County, about 90 miles east of Atlanta, 45 miles from Athens, and 9 miles north of the center of Elberton. The stones are visible from Georgia Highway 77 and are reached by turning east on the Guidestones Road. The structure is sometimes referred as the American Stonehenge. The monument is 19 feet 3 inches tall, made from 6 granite slabs weighing 237,746 pounds in all. One slab stands in the center with 4 arranged around it. The capstone lies on top of the 5 slabs, which are astronomically aligned. An additional stone tablet, which is set in the ground a short distance to the west of the structure, provides some notes on the history and purpose of the Guidestones. In June 1979, an unidentified person or persons under the pseudonym R.C. Christian hired Elberton Granite Fishing Company to build the structure. The land was apparently purchased by Elbert County October 1st, 1979. Although the Georgia Mountain Travel Association history says the monument is located on the farm of Mildred and Wayne Millenix, the monument was unveiled March 22nd, 1980 before an audience variously described as 100 or 400 people. In 2008, the stones were defaced with polyurethane paint and graffiti with slogans such as Death to the New World Order. Wired magazine called the defacement the first serious act of vandalism in the Guidestones history. September 2014, an employee of the Elbert County Maintenance Department contacted the FBI when the stones were vandalized with graffiti, including the phrases, "I am Isis, goddess of love." So here's what's on the Guidestones. A message containing a set of 10 guidelines or principles is engraved on the Georgia Guidestones in 8 different languages. One language on each face of the 4 large upright stones, moving clockwise around the structure from due north. These languages are English, Spanish, Swahili, Sanskrit, Hebrew, Arabic, Chinese, and Russian. And these are the 10 principles that are on there. 1. Maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. 2. Guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. 3. Unite humanity with a living new language. 4. Rule passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason. 5. Protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts. 6. Let all nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in a world court. 7. Avoid petty laws and useless officials. 8. Balance personal rights with social duties. 9. Prize truth, beauty, love, seeking harmony with the infinite. And 10. Be not a cancer of the earth. Leave room for nature. Leave room for nature. Well, when you look at this, I mean, can you really do with some of the things that they're saying here? Certainly, the maintain humanity under 500 million, that suggests that there is some sort of calamity that could get us to that point. That's not a good thing. But we don't know what that is. If it's something natural, then maybe it's a natural course of events that are going to change things, and somebody's just aware of them and putting this information down for us. But the other things of, guide reproduction wisely makes sense, improve fitness and diversity, unite humanity with a language, rule with faith and tradition, protect people with fair laws, avoid petty laws, let nations resolve external disputes in a world court, balance personal rights. I mean, some of the things here make a lot of sense. Some of the things definitely make a lot of sense. We'll see how it goes. Here's a article over at rents.com. The Georgia Guidestones, the Illuminati 10 Commandments. One of the highest hilltops in Elbert County, Georgia, stands a large granite monument engraved in 8 different languages on 4 giant stones that support the common capstone. Are 10 guides or commandments. The monument is alternatively referred to as the Georgia Guidestones or the American Stonehenge. Through relatively unknown to most people, it's an unimportant link to the occult hierarchy that dominates the world in which we live. The origin of the strange monument is shrouded in mystery because no one knows the true identity of the man or men who commissioned the construction. All that is known for certain is that in June 1979, a well-dressed, articulate stranger visited the office of the Alberton Granite Finishing Company and announced that he wanted to build an edifice to transmute a message to mankind. He identified himself as R.C. Christian, but it soon became apparent that this was not his real name. He said that he represented a group of men who wanted to offer direction to humanity, but to date, almost 2 decades later, no one knows who R.C. Christian really was, or that the names of those he represented. Several things are apparent. The messages engraved on the Georgia Guidestones deal with 4 major fields: governance and establishment of a world government, population and reproduction control, the environment and man's relationship to nature, and spirituality. In the public library in Alberton, I found a book written by the man who called himself R.C. Christian. I discovered that the monument he commissioned had been erected in recognition of Thomas Paine and occult philosophy he espoused. Indeed, the Georgia Guidestones are used for occult ceremonies and mystic celebrations to this very day. Tragically, only one religious leader in the area had the courage to speak out against the American Stonehenge, and he has already relocated his ministry. All right, more to the article here. I'm going to leave this to you. And finally, one last piece here. Do the Georgia Guidestones contain 10 commandments of the Antichrist? Several years ago, I conducted a gospel meeting in Toccoa, Georgia, While I was there, I decided to check on a rumor I heard that a mammoth granite monument was supposedly erected in the town of Elberton in March 1980. According to the rumor, the monument had been paid for by a mysterious group affiliated with the New Age movement, the International Amalgamation of Humanist Societies, whose aim is to prepare the way for the coming of Lord Maitreya, the Messiah who will save the world. The guiding force behind the movement is the Lucis Trust, known at the United Nations Plaza, located at the United Nations Plaza in New York. The movement has been well documented in Constance Cummey's book, The Hidden Dangers of the Rainbow, which is the same group that ran the full-page ads in the leading U.S. newspapers in the spring of 1982, announcing the Christ is here now and will reveal himself soon. The group also runs ads in magazines promoting a special humanist prayer. There's a picture of the Guidestones themselves. Okay, we have the R.C. Christian as the man who financed it. Okay, so very interesting what's here, very, very interesting indeed. Some of the things that jump out that we might want to, take notice of here. Connections to this is the Lucis Trust, Lucis from Lucifer, and it's located at the United Nations Plaza in New York. And one of the things about the United Nations, just to refresh your memory, is the highest manned position the United Nations happens to be the same mountains, the mountain area where the fallen angels came down. So in that particular part of the world, the United Nations has an outpost in the same mountains where the fallen angels are said to have arrived. And here we have now this thing that has expressed itself. So again, something very interesting. We're going to find out soon enough, because the 14th of this month is only 4 days away. And remember, things happened not only on that particular date of 9 Av in history, but they happened around that particular date. Okay? Not to mention, just recently, I don't have a link here to show you, but just recently there was one of the cameras at the Soho went down. And usually when the cameras go down, there's a message that pops up saying that cameras down, feed is disrupted, something to this nature. But in this particular occasion, last week, was a graphic that was put up there instead of this white-bearded, long-haired being that we've seen as an image of God pointing down to the earth. And they used this particular image to replace it, which people who go to Soho quite often found that to be quite weird, wondering, is this some sort of message that we are being sent from somebody over there? Are they covertly trying to let us know? Might not be anything, but considering that this came out around the same time that we're getting close to this particular date of the 14th of August, kind of ties into the mix of what is this all about. So again, something bizarre, something strange. Does it mean anything? I don't know. Might not mean anything. It might not mean anything. It might not be a physical thing that occurs. It might be something consciousness that occurs. Who knows? There's lots of weird things going on. Yesterday, I did the report on the Mandela effect. We could be feeling some sort of timeline experience. CERN is certainly doing what it's doing to affect the energies around us. So I think this is a very interesting time. But I feel pretty certain that we are in some times that could be referred to in the prophetic works as the end times. Not the ending of the world, but the ending of a particular timeline as we get ready to move on to another timeline. And maybe that, is exactly it. A timeline is in one reality, and then maybe you change timelines. So maybe that's what the idea of time is. Maybe we jump timelines just as is going on right now, and somebody understood that. Who would understand that? Somebody who maybe had jumped timelines in the past and had gone through this experience once before. Maybe that's why we have such information as we do. Again, we'll find out together. I think that there's a lot really coalescing at this point in time in life between the biblical prophecies, between the Nostradamus quatrains, between the Georgia Guidestones, between what is taking place here on the earth. We certainly know in America there's a lot of challenges that are taking place, and we could see these challenges affecting other parts of the world and vice versa, other parts of the world affecting what's going on here. We see a rise of Islam, which is an antichrist religion, doesn't believe in the Christ. We see them rising and spreading through the world. They're coming as peaceful because we're told they're a religion of peace, when in actuality they're not a religion of peace, because the main prophet within the religion of Islam is Muhammad, who challenges his believers to go out and follow his example by murdering, by raping, by pillaging, by doing all sorts of bad things in the name of Allah. And then they will go to heaven to get their 72 virgins. So this is what's going on. It doesn't sound like a real peaceful religion when you're encouraged to go out and kill those who don't believe the things that you believe. But we see a lot of that taking place in society, don't we? We see a lot of that mindset of go out and kill what you don't doesn't seem to believe the same thing as you. And we are in some interesting times. That I'm certain of. When is it going to play out? I think it's playing out right now, and I think that we have 3 months, because when these elections come up in November, there's going to be a change. Either Donald Trump is going to be the president and we're going to move forward with a new direction, or Hillary is going to be in and we're going to continue the same direction, but she's going to take it to another degree because she's told us she wants to bring in 550 more percent. She's told us she wants to take guns from people. She's told us all of these things she's going to do to bring more oppression upon the people, while at the same time making things easier for the 1%. And people are getting tired of this. People are getting tired of this. The media thinks that they are going to be treated fairly through all of this. They're not. They're just being used. You've heard the term useful idiots? They're useful idiots. They don't even realize it. So when they go on and they're arguing this stuff, on one hand, you just got to feel sorry for them because they don't realize how they are being used. And one day when the politicians are done using them, they're just going to throw them aside and leave them to die on their own way. So it's too bad to see that, but can't fix stupid. There's a lot of stupid people out there doing stupid things. We see it. When we look to the prophetic words, we find out that the books actually say we would hit a period of time where people are going to divide amongst themselves, that there would be a great deception over the land, and a great majority of people are going to be deceived. Isn't that what we're seeing? A great deception at hand. We know when people are awake, and we know when they're asleep. And we're seeing both conditions taking place in life right now. So, now that we see what the problems are, now that we're kind of aware of the events that are taking place, our job is to step back and to observe. Our job is to be aware of those things, so when they occur, we're not caught like a deer in the headlight, surprised that things happen. Our job is to understand how to take this energy that's coming our way and transmute it through ourselves so that we're able to make it usable so we can keep evolving. Because all of this ultimately has to do with us evolving. But we've come to a point in time where humankind has gone off in one direction, and they're going in a direction away from God. I don't know why someone decided to do that, but we had those in humanity who are leading others away from God. And surprisingly, many people are following that example. I don't know why people would follow that example, but there's many people walking away from God, the same people who over the years have espoused how important it was to follow God, and now they are following the path of the Antichrist. They're following the path of those going away from God. So it doesn't seem like there was a lot of people that had a real conviction about what they believed. They were just giving lip service to something for some reason because maybe they thought it was cool. And we're finding out who really believes, who really understands the nature of God, and who really doesn't. And it's a nice, simple separation. That's it. Remember, there's passages in the Revelation where Jesus says it would be better if you would be hot or cold, because to be lukewarm does nothing. You got to pick a side. You got, Nobody's just hot or cold. Everybody has a feeling about something. And there are those who just don't have any feelings about anything. And, well, we see what that happens if we don't have feelings. We need to have our feelings. It's a part of who we are. But if their feelings are played against us, then that's the problem. And that's what's going on. Those who are in power have spent years studying how to manipulate energy, not the politicians we see, but those behind the scenes, how to manipulate energy, how to manipulate people, and that's what they are doing. So to live in this world, you have to be strong-minded. Otherwise, we're going to be manipulated in ways that we're not going to like. It's like in Star Wars, where Obi-Wan talked about the Force. These are not the droids you're looking for. We've heard the phrase, move along, nothing to see here. You know what I'm talking about. Preaching to the choir, right? You guys already know. So, switching gears here. This is an article over at In5D, the top 10 spiritual places with the strongest energy fields. Gostika. There are places in the world where you can feel the connection with the divine. One of them is Rila Lakes, known for a strong energy field where sensitive people dream strange things. After spending the night there, such typical of places could give you answers to long asked questions and make you feel your energy is concentrated at a more spiritual level. Here are the 10 most energy destinations. Ria, Bulgaria. Okay. Someone might seem surprised, but this mountain range is one of the energy centers of the world, not accidentally one of the greatest spiritual masters of the 20th century. Venisia Duno is Bulgarian and has chosen to transmit wisdom in Rila. The area around Rila's lakes actually a very strong energy, and more sensitive people feel it and receive it and have strange dreams. And if memory serves correct, this is an area of Bulgaria where, remember those mountains where they found the big giant caves, giant tables. Another area is Machu Picchu. Beautiful area. I've not been there, but I've had friends that have been, and they just describe it as being a wonderful place. The lost city of the Incas is one of the places linked to the energy centers of the world. The Incas built Machu Picchu in a particular high place in the Andes. The place itself channels the energy and allows people to experience something that just does not belong to our world. Socotra. It's very cool looking trees. Socotra is an archipelago and 4 islands off of the Indian Ocean of the Horn of Africa. The largest occupies 95% of the total area of the island. Its specific landscape as well as flora and fauna look like to come out of a science fiction movie and can easily make you think you're on another planet or in prehistoric times. As a result of isolation, the Socotra were born many specific species that are found elsewhere in the world. Spiritual energy here connects the human soul directly to the cosmos. The Plateau Uluru in Australia. It's quite a plateau there. Located in the center of the continental country, Uluru is a spiritual center of Australia. Legends say the plateau itself is hollow and is an energy source, which they call Ikirpa, a dream time. Ancient tribes surrounding the plateau have left many stories from the dream time painted in some of the caves in the area. And the tribes has remained the belief that when a person goes around the plateau, he gets spiritual visions. Okay, very interesting indeed. Easter Island. We've all seen these characters right there of Easter Island looking at something in the distance. This is one of the most isolated places in the world, which is home to huge statues. Scientists have absolutely no answer to the question who made them. Overall, the whole place is a complete mystery and unfinished figures. Ceremonial village with 35 stones without windows and doors and many others. The biggest mystery, however, remains so. Navel of the world. It is said that because of the circular stone bearing the secrets of the universe, the one who collects the most important spiritual energy lines of the earth. The sanctuary Belintash. The ancient secretary Belintash, Bulgaria is one of the 3 points, forming one of the strongest energy zones in Europe. and this is between Belantash, Cross Forest, and Karjal Stone. On the rocky plateau, outlined mirror projections of important parts of the star chart in the area around Belantash, and in it there's a strong energy, and hundreds of people testify for frequent paranormal phenomena. Barat, Albania. Barat, Albania is the pride of the Albanian architecture. The old town is under UNESCO protection. Barat presents a wonderful combination of Eastern and Western culture, traditions, and customs. The town is a treasure of Albanian history and is evidence of the harmony between the religion and culture. In Barat, people experience very powerful spiritual healing energy. In the 3rd century, the city became the city castle. Today, behind the city walls are still living people who don't believe in disease, and that makes the place unique and authentic. Stonehenge, the most famous megalithic monument in the world, probably dedicated to the sun, with the ancient necropolis located in the middle of Salisbury Plain in the county of Wiltshire, UK, probably function as an astronomical observatory in connection with cult and economic performance of the agricultural population. It is constructed from the monolithic slabs and the pillars forming concentric circles. The Bosnian pyramids. These are the planet long before the Neolithic era. Radiocarbon analysis conducted by the University of Scienowsk, Poland 211 date to the pyramids before 12,350 years plus or minus 50 years. According to this analysis, the Bosnian pyramidal structures are thousands of years older than the Egyptian pyramids. Under the pyramid were found 3 underground rooms and a little blue lake. The lake is sterile, clean water, no bacteria, algae, fungi, microorganisms, animals, or moss and mud. They call it living water because it purifies the body. This means that the facilities are healing rooms. Human bodies regenerate faster and illnesses disappear. And finally, the last one, Peak Kalish in Tibet. Okay, the top has a religious significance for 2 religions, Buddhism and Hinduism. Both of the religions have their own agendas and their legends. Actually, both have their own legends about the place, but united around the assertion that the tip of the home of the gods, one of the energy centers of the world, where climbing it can bring spiritual bliss. All right, so despite the fact that there are events taking place that humans are involved with, that have agendas and so on and so forth, Earth has its own magnificent centers which really help us to understand that there is something bigger than just what humankind is all about. You look at these things and you come to understand that, all of this nonsense that they're pushing about the global warming is just nonsense. Okay? Earth's been around a lot longer than humankind. Humankind is here, and yes, has humankind done things to affect the atmospheres around them? Certainly we have. But have we affected everything upon the planet? Not in the way that they're saying. Could we do better? Absolutely. Should we try to do better? Absolutely. But we can't sit and allow someone with political agendas convince us that what we know about life is, incorrect, and that they're going to try to dictate their agendas to us, that we have to believe that we are the source of this problem, and therefore we can only fix this by imposing taxes upon us. You see, there's an agenda that has nothing to do with anything other than man wanting to try to suppress other men and finding reasons. Look, it gets too hot in the world. Uh-oh, I'm going to tax you, and then things will be better. Or look, global warming is why ISIS is upset with us. These are nonsensical things, and people who don't think past their nose look at these events and listen to these things and say, oh, that's it. It's global warming. Global warming is causing these things. We better start taxing each other to fix this problem. That will fix it if we start taxing each other. If he pays more money, we'll end global warming. Global warming is what man talks about. Trust me, God can take care of the planet very well. And if God has a problem with what's going on with humankind, God can remove us from the equation very easily. We simply need to be better caretakers of this planet overall in many ways. We need to do a lot more than, we need to do better. We can do better. All right, so there you have it. That brings us to a channeled message today. This was Archangel Gabriel's message from yesterday. Here we go.
Archangel Gabriel Daily Message / Tuesday, August 9th, 2016 by Shelley Young. It is true that from the perspective of unity consciousness, what you do for another serves the whole. Why then do we advocate self-love so much? Because it is through embracing yourself, your divinity, with acceptance and love that you will finally be willing to include yourself in that whole, and accept the love and assistance that has always been there for you. It is what shifts you into giving yourself permission to receive and see yourself as equally worthy and deserving. The universe has always been there for you. It is your own willingness to see yourself as worthy of the experience of that love that has been lacking. Simply put, it is your self-love that will open the floodgates of a deeper experience of all love, for it ends your self-imposed separation. Archangel Gabriel.
All right. What this message was very important. Yes, we do want to express and extend love out to others and caring and all these other things. But we have to start with ourselves first, because just imagine we are beings who share the energy that is within us. If the energy within us is dark, confused, uncertain about what's going on, then as we extend outward, we're sharing that confusion, that darkness, that whatever. It doesn't work, because then we're just passing that on. Okay? It's simply a basic understanding of energy exchange. If we want to exchange energy in a way that's more positive, more effective, what we need to do is we need to start with ourselves, and we need to understand what is the energy that we are putting out. We need to go in and take care of ourselves first. The self-love. We can't be loving others outside of ourselves unless we stop and are able to love ourselves first. And then once we do that, we can now extend that which is inside of us outward to help others to do the same thing. And vice versa, because as others are sharing their love and their energy with us, we're feeling that energy. So on a day-to-day basis, we interact with many people, and we're exchanging energy. We're exchanging energy from what we feel and the emotions on our energy field with another, and vice versa. We've all been around people where you get close to them and you just feel creeped out because their energy is really bad, whereas other people, you get around them and you feel good because their energy is good. That's what we're talking about here. We have to get it understanding our energies, because it's all really about energy and how we utilize energies. And when we understand that, when we take responsibility first for our energy fields and the energy we're dealing with and how we're using it, then when we reach out to others and extend ourselves to others, it makes a big difference. Makes a big difference indeed. And finally, our meditation for today, so go ahead and close your eyes. Take a deep breath and exhale. Take another breath. Hold it and exhale. And another breath. Exhale. And as you breathe in and out, just feel the energized essence of the energy you're inhaling, and exhale out the energy that is stale and stagnant. And allow this exchange to keep refreshing your body. And as you breathe in and out, just feel the energy of the power of your breath. And think about the creation of this universe, according to the prophetic books that we have, that it all came about with breath, with spirit, expressing itself through breath. And keep breathing. And as we do, and understand this, we understand the significance of breath, for breath brings life. And as we understand this breath of life that flows through us and we express into the world, we're able to understand the flow of spirit continually refreshing our opportunities to make a difference in who we are and a difference in the world and how we interact with it. So as we are breathing and allowing this energy exchange taking place, let's imagine all of our chakras that are activated, the energy centers in the body that process these different energies. Start with the crown chakra at the top of the head. I want you to imagine this white light shining down from above, entering that crown chakra where the color is violet. And we see that energy entering the crown chakra, the violet color chakra, and it starts to move down like a rain shower. And it moves down, and it gets down to the third eye, and the colors turn from violet to indigo. The third eye is how we see through the dimensions of space and time. And the energy keeps going down from our third eye, down farther, and gets to our throat where the color turns blue. And there, from the blue chakra of the throat, we're able to communicate out into the world that which is needing to be communicated by us, through us. And the energy continues to move down from the throat chakra, down to the heart chakra, and there we see the color green. And from the green heart chakra, we send out love into the world. So just imagine love being sent out all over this color green. And then let the energy keep moving down from the heart chakra down to the solar plexus, just below the rib cage, and there we see the color yellow. And from this chakra here, the solar plexus chakra, the intellectual body is affected. And we let that energy keep moving down to the navel, to the belly button, where we imagine the color orange of this orange colored chakra, the emotional chakra. And finally from there down to the root chakra where the color is red. The grounding energy, and the energy moves down into the earth and we feel grounded. So as we go through the course of this day, let us just feel this energy flowing through us. Let us just feel and work with the energy fields that we are, and practice sending this energy out into the world, and practice how we adjust to the energies that are coming into us. Imagine that all the energies that will affect us move through this channel of love first, so that by the time they hit us, they are all love-filled energies. So let the subconscious mind continue on that journey of experiencing the energy of who we are. And let's bring the conscious mind back to the present moment, all on the count of 3. 3 coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2 coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1 coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale. And open your eyes. That's it, my friends. That's the show for today. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Just remember to work with your energy. That's the most important thing. Everything that's taking place is about manipulating the energy of who you are, whether it's manipulating your thoughts or your emotions, your ideas. Don't let somebody outside of you manipulate those, because the Spirit of God that flows through you is taking care of that process already. So there doesn't need to be anyone to replace that. Work with your energy, practice working with it, because that's what is the essence. Us understanding and working with that divine essence in us. And once we understand that and grasp that, it's a game changer, not only for us, but for everybody that we come in contact with. That's it for today, my friends. I'll be back tomorrow with more news and information. Till then, I love you. Keep loving each other, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here.